The music was still playing when the bailiff cleared his throat. Glasses froze mid-air. Laughter stalled. My daughter turned, confused, smiling like this was another surprise I'd planned for her housewarming. "How did you get here?" she asked. I didn't answer. I pointed. I remember thinking how beautiful the house looked in the afternoon light. Clean lines, big windows, a place built on someone else's credit. Mine. She and I used to share Sunday mornings, coffee, silence, the kind that didn't need filling. I taught her how to read contracts the way other parents teach prayer, slowly, skeptically, with a pencil. She laughed at my caution, said I worried too much, said trust was a muscle you had to use or it would die. I trusted her. That's the confession. The first sign was a letter I didn't open. Bank logo, thick envelope. I set it aside, told myself it was a mistake. The second was the email, "Congratulations on your approval," that slid into my inbox at 2:13 a.m. The third was the phone call from a number I didn't recognize, asking why's voice on the line, too cheerful to be human. "Sir, we just need to verify your income." I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I asked for dates, amounts, signatures. When they read them back to me, my name came out of their mouths like a stolen watch, familiar, heavy, wrong. I drove to her apartment that night and sat in the car, lights on, boxes stacked, a life in motion. I waited for anger to arrive. It didn't. Something colder did, a clarity that made the world feel sharp. The evidence gathered itself, not dramatically, methodically. A credit report, a title search, an IP address tied to a coffee shop near her work, a forged signature that tried too hard to look like mine. She hadn't even bothered to misspell my middle name. She knew it by heart. I slept. That surprised me. The next morning, I hired a forensic accountant. I didn't tell him the story. I told him the numbers. Numbers don't judge. They reveal. Then I met a lawyer who didn't smile and a private investigator who did. I gave them permission to move slowly. I paid for patience. I kept showing up. Family dinners, texts about paint colors. I listened to her talk about interest rates she pretended to understand. I watched her rehearse gratitude. I nodded. I took notes. The plan wasn't revenge, it was alignment. Truth has weight. You just have to let gravity work. We froze my credit, filed the fraud affidavit, subpoenaed the bank's internal logs. My lawyer spoke to the lender's counsel with the calm of someone who enjoys chess more than winning. We let the bank realize in its own time that it had been lied to. Banks don't forgive lies, they correct them. I asked the prosecutor not to rush. I wanted one clean moment. I wanted witnesses. Housewarming day arrived like a staged apology. Wine, charcuterie, smiles that didn't touch the eyes. She hugged me too long. I felt the tremor. Guilt tries to crawl back into the body when it thinks it's safe. When the bailiff stepped in, I saw the house exhale. Paper rustled. A badge caught the light. The words were plain: default, fraud, possession. The music kept playing because no one had thought to turn it off. She asked how I got there. I pointed. Her face changed in increments: confusion, denial, calculation, fear. She looked at me like I was the stranger who'd broken into her life. I felt a small mercy in that. It meant she finally understood. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said, quiet, for me. I leaned in, not to comfort, to finish it clean. "You didn't mean to ask," I said. "You meant to take." The bank reclaimed the house. The loan reverted to its rightful owner, her. The charges were precise, no theatrics, white paper justice. She lost more than walls, she lost credibility. Friends who'd admired her ambition discovered its source. Employers don't like surprises tied to indictments. I testified once. I told the truth without adjectives. I didn't look at her. That was the hardest part. I kept my eyes on the clock. Time was the only thing we were still sharing. People ask if it broke me. They want a softer ending. They want tears. I give them silence. I rebuilt my credit. I sold my old place. I moved somewhere smaller with better light. I sleep through the night. Sometimes I miss the Sundays. I miss the version of her who laughed at my caution. But I don't miss the lie that wore my name like a coat. Justice isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It waits. It aligns the facts. And when it arrives, it doesn't ask how you got there. It already knows.